What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. Breaking news, hot off the press, says that Joe Jonas filed for divorce from Sophie Turner. And again, he is making it sound like she is a complete and utter deadbeat, similar to what was happening in the initial TMZ reports about Trouble in Paradise. Just to refresh your memory, it was only a couple days ago that TMZ wrote a story saying that he was lining up his ducks in a row in order to divorce Sophie because he just feels like they're no longer compatible. He's the one who's watching the kids, even though he's touring and whatnot. They never mentioned that she was in the UK working. Like, they only focused on him being a working single father in the United States and whatnot. And now we're going to get into it a little bit later on in the story as we kind of dissect what he wanted in the divorce filing. Because, wow, Sophie, what happened between the two of you for this man to be airing you out like this in public? It feels like he hates you, or he's out to spite you, or something like that. Like, I really need to be a fly on the wall on this situation. So let's get into the children first of all. According to TMZ, Joe is asking for joint custody of their two daughters. Mind you, we only know the name of one of them, the 3-year-old named Willa. The 1-year-old is still not yet publicly named. So even though the child has no name, he nonetheless is filing for joint custody, of course. I do wonder, by the way, if the name is going to be revealed when all of this information kind of like starts trickling out a little bit more, or if TMZ is going to respect their privacy by not naming the child. I'm kind of on the fence here because, mind you, TMZ is the same outlet that publishes death announcements on people before even notifying their family. Like, a lot of times these people's families find out through TMZ that their loved ones are dead. You know what I mean? So don't hold your breath if you count on them guarding the anonymity of Sophie and Joe's second child, okay? Now, when it comes to splitting the money, Joe Jonas, being a Jonas brother, has been working since he was a teenager, a wee little boy, alongside his brothers. They were like the biggest teen sensation of like the several years for a long while now when I was in high school. So I do believe that he's got a lot of money from all the touring, all the albums, the TV show they had, the movies they did. And Sophie, although she's not quite as big of a star or a household name or anything like that, the way Joe and the Jonas brothers were, she does have a little bit of money of her own because she starred in HBO's Game of Thrones, and she's currently filming something in the UK. No clue what that is, but it is a job nonetheless. So she is a working actress. So I do believe that she's got some money on her own, but I am curious to know what exactly is in the prenup and how things will be divided. It's only been about 4 years of marriage, if I am not mistaken. So I don't expect her to receive a major payout or anything like that, but I do believe she could potentially be walking away with a little something, something. Now, when we get into the lawyers that Joe Jonas has hired to represent him, let's take a look at some of these heavy-hitting names. As TMZ reports, it's been at least a week that Joe has been shopping for divorce lawyers. If you watched that movie, Marriage Story, by the way, let me know in the comments if you watched that movie. It was like so overhyped, by the way. It was like this big sensation on Netflix that turned out to be sucky when I watched it. Who is it? Adam Driver and that Scarlett Johansson, I think it is. So in that movie, one thing I learned is that if you were really spiteful and you're about to divorce someone, go ahead and take a meeting with like every top powerful divorce lawyer you can find, because apparently in some way that disqualifies your soon-to-be ex from being able to work with them. I guess because the lawyer would then be privy to certain intel that like could be damaging or what, I don't know, but apparently that's a strategy. So it is kind of interesting that they're talking about him shopping for divorce lawyers. But he did finally end up settling on some lawyers, one of whom is Tom Sasser, who is the same man who handled Tiger Woods' epic divorce. Now, let's get into Joe making Sophie seem like a deadbeat. Listen, like I said in my initial video, perhaps Sophie Turner suffers from postpartum depression, and that is why, in his opinion, or what it seems like is his opinion, she is not kind of as present as he would like her to be with the children or something like that. But Joe, a source close to Joe, who may or may not be Joe himself, is telling TMZ that a big reason, if not the ultimate reason, why Joe filed for divorce from Sophie is because she likes to party while he likes to stay at home, and they have very different lifestyles. So when you think about that statement, mixed with a statement that was released initially, which was that Joe is watching the kids all alone while Sophie is away, it really feels like he is saying, I just cannot with this woman. She is not ready to be a mother the way that I am ready to be a father. And so I'm tired of it. I want to be with a grown woman who's like ready to settle down and ready for this life that we decided to have, because unfortunately it is not Sophie. So you would think with all this kind of like mudslinging, right, that Joe would be trying to fight for more custody of their kids or something like primary or whatever. So I'm surprised that he's only going for joint custody. I'm quite interested to see how this plays out. Like, it's not uncommon for someone who feels like they are better suited to be primary parent or custodian that they would go for that. But Joe is going for joint custody, which I believe is about 50%, right? And then just to kind of drive the point home in this TMZ article, let me quote what they're saying, okay? As we reported, Joe has been taking care of the children pretty much all of the time over the last 3 months, even as the band toured the US. Like, see, like they just keep on hammering this point. Listen, Sophie, I felt bad for you initially, but then when I read some of the stuff about like the hateful things that you like on Instagram, I started saying, you know what, girl, there must be something about you behind the scenes then, because, some of the stuff I saw that she was liking, which I won't get into in this video, were quite appalling, to be honest with you. So let's continue. Okay. So after they're saying that Joe has been pretty much the only parent for these kids for the last 3 months, even as the band toured for the US, why are they not mentioning what Sophie is up to? Where has Sophie been for the last 3 months? I know that at a certain point she's been working in the UK, but I don't know how long that's been for. Has it been for 3 months straight? Not sure. Right? Not sure. Guys, if you're aware of it, let me know. So then they're saying when it comes to hashing out a custody agreement, he could ask for significantly more than 50% physical custody, and our sources say that that's likely. So although he filed for joint custody initially, he can go for more. He wants at least 50, but potentially more than 50. And why? Again, it's because Joe seemingly views Sophie as some sort of mother who just doesn't want to step up, right? He feels like he's doing all of the work already, at least for the last 3 months, and that he's the one who wants to stay at home while Sophie wants to go out and party. So it does make sense, if all of that is true, that Joe would go ahead and file for more. It's like, if you don't want to be here in the house with these kids, if you'd rather be like, pop locking and dropping out in the clubs with your friends, why shouldn't I have more than 50%? I do think that that is reasonable if this truly is the case, if this truly is the dynamic of their family and of their household. Listen, Joe, you got with this girl too young, okay? She was only 19 years old when y'all started dating. You were like 26, 27, mid to late 20s. And then you got married when she was like 22, 23. Then you started popping out these kids back to back. Sorry, but what do you think happens when you just rush through these things so quickly? With somebody who is just so young and hasn't yet experienced an independent adult life. Like, of course, they start longing for all of these normal things that they should have experienced in their early to mid 20s, in their late teens and stuff like that, right? Instead of like playing house with an older man. Like, come on now. Hopefully this teaches him to start dating people like more in a similar stage of life to him. I remember when I was researching for my initial story about them having trouble in paradise, I was learning that this man apparently asked out Gigi Hadid when she was only 13 years old. Like, and he was of age. She was 18 plus. He was like 18, 19. He's asking out a 13-year-old. How do you even look at a 13-year-old and have any kind of thoughts of dating them? I find that to be creepy and disgusting, So maybe he should look into that, right? And start dating more age appropriately. He's got 2 kids that he allegedly is like the main parent for. So it's time to make smarter decisions moving forward. Joe, just to throw some years at you, they started dating in 2016, got married in 2019. He is currently 34 years old. She is currently 27 years old. So 27 and 34, about to be divorced with 2 kids. Oh, Lord have mercy. It is very, very unfortunate. God bless them. Well, God bless them and good luck to them. This is not going to be easy. And like I said, there's already been a lot of mudslinging. Joe looks like he's ready to play dirty with her. I do have to ask you guys a question. Why do you think Joe is playing with the press? Right? Like all of these stories started breaking out about the status of their relationship because he hadn't been wearing his ring for at least a week on tour. And then what happened next? Then he stopped singing love songs to her on their like concerts. But now all of a sudden, after all of this got aired out and whatnot, he starts wearing the ring again. He sings her a love song last night, all just for this to be announced today that he officially filed for divorce. It sounds manipulative as F. Performative for us, but really hurtful and manipulative and like, you know, psycho, in my opinion, towards Sophie. Like, how dare you do all of this, play these games, these mind games so publicly with someone as you're filing for divorce? I find that to be disgusting. You know, sure, Sophie might have her issues, but Joe to be tailing after 13-year-olds as someone 18 plus, and then trolling for 19-year-olds in his mid to late 20s, and now doing these sorts of things like these public mind games, something is off there. You know, maybe that's the reason why he looks for women who are too young for him, because he likes to have control over people, right? And he likes to exert that dominance in the form of mind games, perhaps, or extreme manipulation. I don't know, but that is just the vibe that I'm getting. I'm disgusted to see that he was now making a show of wearing this ring and singing her a love song. Like, you sing me a love song, and then a couple hours later, you file for divorce. You're sick in the head. I'm sorry, but this is some creepy, vile behavior. But I digress. You guys, let me know what you think about this entire ordeal in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.